Good morning, everybody. So two of the questions are remaining from this chapter. The making of national movement. Making of national movement. Sorry, eight questions we done. Now the ninth question is to discuss those developments of the 1937 to the 47 period that led to the creation of a Pakistan, which led to the creation of the formation of Pakistan. So those movements which were led as in between of 1937 towards the 1947, 1937 towards the 1947 for the formation of a Pakistan. Formation of Pakistan. The provincial elections of 1937 seem to have convinced the League that the Muslims were a minority and they would always have to play a second fiddle in any democratic structure. First point, any democratic structure. Second, the Congress rejection of the League's desire to form a joint Congress-League government in the United Provinces in 1937. 1937. Third, the Congress failures to mobilize the Muslim masses in the 1930 and allowed the League to widen its social support. Third point, widen its social support. Social support. Next, as a from in 1945, in 1945, the gap between Congress and gap between in 1945 the gap between the Congress and the Muslim League saw itself the spokesperson of India's Muslims, spokesperson of India's Muslims. Fourth point, the League success in the seats reserved for Muslims for spectacular and last point, after the failure of the cabinet mission, after the failure of cabinet mission, the Muslim League decided mass agitation for winning its Pakistan demand, it announced 16th August 1946 as a direct action day. Clear? Direct Action day. This was your 9th question. 10th and 11th questions, leave it. So on your notebooks, you have to attempt all the 9 questions. First 9 questions. First 9 questions. Today is a Wednesday. You have to ready your notebooks till next Friday. Next week on Friday. Till Friday, you have to ready your notebooks. And remaining 2 chapters of our civics, you have to send on today till 7 o'clock. Till 7 o'clock, send your notebooks. Last 2 chapters of our civics, public facilities, and last chapter of civics. Both of the chapters, you have to send it on today till 7 o'clock. Clear? Till 7 o'clock. Now the next one, next chapter, India after independence. When India declared as independent, afterwards their strategies. After the independence of India, what strategies were changed, which were as earlier not followed by the Indians? So India after independence. India after independence, the strategies of India which changes after the independence in relation to the administration, economic, social life of the people. Social life of the people. This chapter has covers that what kind of advancements occurred at the early first decade of Indian independence. What changes occurred in Indian politics, Indian social and economic life due to the partition of a country in 1947. 1947. For example, as a framing of an Indian constitution, reorganization of Indian states, solving the problem of the internal disputes of borders of states and international borders. Such problems sorted out just after the independence by the newly elected government. Elected government. We will discuss in this chapter. In this chapter, we will discuss about the partition of a country and rehabilitation of refugees, those refugees which came from eastern and western Pakistan towards India. Eastern and western Pakistan towards India. Then we will discuss about at the creation of an Indian Union. All those 562 princely states which declared as independent, how does the maximum number of princely states merge under the Indian dominance? Who is responsible for this? Their role we will discuss. And afterwards, the organization of such states, how does as earlier states of India after independence, they came into existence. They came into existence. These things we will discuss in this chapter, India after independence. India after independence. So let's start. India declared independent on 15th August 1947. 15th August 1947. When India declared as independent, at that time there were the 3 major problems in front of the government. Major problems faced by the government at that time. First, rehabilitation of refugees. Rehabilitation of refugees. Second, at the time of independence of India, the total population, it was near about 35 crores. 35 crores of a total population, it can't feed by the newly elected government. Problem of a food to their population, for which as a food imported from grains imported from the China and the US towards India to completing their needs of a food. Food grains imported from the America and the China towards India for completing the need of a food. And third problem, reorganization of Indian states. Reorganization of Indian states. reorganization of states. Those princely states earlier as a independent during as a British age, these were followed as a rules and regulations given by the Britishers, but now as after the independence, they declared as an independent. It was as a will upon these number of princely states, they agreed to hand over their territories either to the Indian dominance or to the Pakistan dominance. So those number of states which were as a merge under the India, how does as a these organize into as a one nation? These states organized into as the one nation. Presently, there are a total number of 28 states are there. But before of independence, including parts of Pakistan and Bangladesh, they were divided into the 562 states. 562 states. Clear? So let's start. Partition of India declared by the last Viceroy of India, last British Viceroy, Lord Mountbatten. Lord Mountbatten. Soon after the declaration of a partition, India and Pakistan saw the worst ever communal rights because of a large number of people displaced. They were displaced from their own areas. Because the idea behind the partition of country was the Hindu areas separated from the, Muslim areas separated from the non-Muslim areas. Muslim regions which were known for the majority of Muslims separated from non-Muslim regions. In this process, as India divided into the three parts. Mainland of India, which is now as existing India, Eastern Pakistan, which is now presently known as Bangladesh, Western Pakistan, which is as the existing Pakistan. When Britishers left the country on 1947, they declared all 562 states, 562 princely states as independent. It means that they were not merge any of the territories of these princely states into under the Muslim dominance, Pakistan dominance, or either the Hindu, Indian dominance. All these states, 562 states, were totally independent. These were independent. These states were independent to merge themselves under the Pakistan or either the India. Clear? So, or either India. So when India declared as independent, afterwards there was as a State Reorganization Commission set up. State Reorganization Commission set up in 1953. But before of it, the maximum number of princely states, such princely states which earlier governed by the rulers, by monarchies, kings and the queens, by king and the queens, their territories, they merged under the Indian dominance, for which as a important role played by the Iron Man of India, Vallabhbhai Patel. Vallabhbhai Patel, he agreed the large number of princely states to merge their areas under the Indian dominance, for which he used two policies. He made the secret alliances with the rulers. Vallabhbhai Patel made secret alliances with the rulers in which their sovereignty, the supremacy of a rulers, it maintained with the merging of their areas under Indian dominance. the areas merged under the Indian dominance, but their superiority, the control over the such provinces, it was as a handled by the rulers. Second, as forcefully the sum of the territories merged under the Indian dominance. Princely states merge under the Indian dominance. For which, as at that time, there were the three of the states were there, which creating as a problem. One as a Junagadh, which is now as presently known as a Junagadh, which is now as presently known as a Junagadh, presently known as a Gujarat, Hyderabad province, which is now as presently known as a Andhra Pradesh, Hyderabad province, and third as a Jammu and Kashmir. At that time in a Junagadh, there was as elections were held. Elections in relation to the number of people which are in favor of India or in Pakistan. So the results comes in form of India. Majority of a population favored the Indian dominance. Majority of population of a Junagadh favored to merge their areas, their territories in India. Second state, Hyderabad. The Nizam of the Hyderabad agreed to hand over their territories to the Pakistan. If such kind of a thing, it could as a happen, then under such circumstances, Pakistan, it can be as a three parts. Eastern Pakistan, existing Bangladesh, Western Pakistan, existing Pakistan, and Southern Pakistan. Of the sides. At that time, the Nizam of Hyderabad, he was not agreed to merge their territories in a Indian dominance. So he agreed to the hand over their territories to the Pakistan dominance. So at that time, as a forcefully, their territories were occupied, and Nizam of Hyderabad escaped from Hyderabad and moved towards, entered in Pakistan. At that time, the third state as a Jammu and Kashmir, north of the India, Jammu and Kashmir. At that time, the existing ruler of Jammu and Kashmir was Raja Hari Singh. Raja Hari Singh wanted to make himself as an independent nation like as a Pakistan or other nation. It want to make as their territories as independent from the control of Pakistan or India. Jammu and Kashmir. आपने न्यूज़ में सुना होगा POK. POK is that part of Pakistan, that part of Kashmir, which is as occupied by Pakistan in 1948. POK, Pakistan occupied Kashmir. So till without as a support, the percentage of Kashmir which occupied by Pakistan in 1940, the existing ruler of Jammu and Kashmir, Raja Hari Singh, he moved towards the Delhi and asked for help from a Indian government. In that situation, as an existing prime minister, their own constitution. Since independence to the modern time, Jammu Kashmir handled or administered by the separate constitution as compared to the rest of the India. Clear? As compared to the rest of the India. So those a large number of refugees which came from Eastern Pakistan and Western Pakistan towards India, such refugees, their habitation, their living conditions, for job opportunities for them, for their proper rehabilitation, Government of India, it put their efforts. Clear? First problem associated with the rehabilitation of refugees sorted out by the Indian government with establishment of newer cities. In this process, as a Chandigarh and other number of cities were set up in our country. Cities developed in our country. First problem sorted out this way. That population which comes from a eastern and a western Pakistan after the partition of a country, that population settled in land and property allotted to them for their survival. Second, food problem. The problem of a food sorted out by the government of India with emphasis over agriculture. Growth of agricultural crops which supported through as the Green Revolution. For the sectoral growth of economy, Government of India set up as a planning commission in which year? In which year, Hariom, planning commission set up by the Government of India? Hariom, in last chapter of civics we discussed. Hariom. Hariom. In 1950, 1950, Planning Commission set up on 1950. 1950. In 1950, Planning Commission set up in India for sectoral growth, for growth of different sectors of economy, for growth of different sectors of economy. Planning Commission, it was as the setup. Planning Commission set up in 1950. Afterwards, the government started to make as the 5-year plans. Such 5-year plans which regulate as the development in all over the country. Development in all over the country. So for improving as agriculture production and solve the problem of a food, just after the independence, government took some of the land reforms. Noted down the land reforms. Land reforms adopted by the government after independence. First, government abolished the zamindari system. That zamindari system in which the Britishers given the land to landlords, zamindars, such landlords dividing their land, distributing their land among the tenants, and in such ways they collected as a revenue from them. That amount of a revenue they paid to the company. That system of a zamindari system abolished by the newly elected government. The newly elected government finished the zamindari system. Second, ban on shifting cultivation. Ban on shifting cultivation. Ban on shifting cultivation. First, zamindari system abolished. Second, ban on shifting cultivation. Ban on shifting cultivation. Third, allocation of land among refugees. Allocation of land among refugees. Allocation land, it was as a given to those refugees which came after the partition of country, which came towards India after partition of India. After partition of India, land allotted to them. Land allotted to such refugees which came after partition of India. Clear? Such land reforms done by the government of India after independence. So third problem, reorganization of states. Third problem associated after the independence of India as the reorganization of states. Reorganization of states. The partition of India based upon a religious beliefs, religious behalves. On the basis of the religion, country divided into the two parts. Muslim areas and non-Muslim areas, Pakistan and India. Pakistan and India in two parts as a country divided. After merging as a maximum number of princely states under the Indian dominance. Now, as the question arises, how can such states it can reorganize them? On what beliefs, what behalves we can manage or divide such number of states? Those states which earlier as a divided on the basis of a princes, the territories of our rulers. Now, how can the such number of states can divided within a country? Within a country, many number of suggestions were comes from the politicians, people, that the country it should be as a divided on the basis of a religious community. If we choose as a criteria of a religion to divide the nation on a religious basis, then under such circumstances, not any one single part of a country where a single community residing. For example, Punjab known for the Sikh community, but Sikh community has also surviving in a southern parts of India, central parts, northeastern states, Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal, all the regions. It's not as a possible reason through which as a country can divide it on the basis of religion. Then the options has comes as a caste basis. If the caste used for the division of a country, it will be made as an inferiority among the smaller groups. So in the end, dignitaries decided to divide the country on a linguistic basis, languages. But there was as a question that at present there are the 1500 local dialects are there. 1500 number of states again create as a problem for administration. Then framers of Indian constitution, they decided to register the certain number of languages in a constitution. On such behalf, the country it will divided. So on such basis, the country divided, it reorganized into the linguistic basis. At earlier as the 14 states were they came into existence after the partition. After the independence of India, total number of 14 states were those languages which were registered in a Constitution of India. Constitution of India. For example, Punjab, it constitutes the areas of existing Haryana and existing Himachal Pradesh. At that time, these were collectively known as a Punjab at the time of independence. In 1966, 1st November 1966, Punjab partitioned again. 1st November 1966, Punjab again partitioned. Two of the states were separated from the mainland of Punjab. At that time, Punjab, it constitutes the 7 districts. 7 districts were present in all over the Punjab. 1 district given to the Himachal Pradesh, 2 districts given to the Haryana, and remaining 4 districts included under the Punjab, existing Punjab. Clear? Till there any questions? Till there any questions? Till there any questions? Tomorrow we will start from a constitution is written from this constitution onwards. For the framing of Indian constitution, drafting committee, constituent assembly, it was as a framed in 1946. In previous chapter we discussed constituent assembly, the drafting committee, it was as a setup in 1946. That constituent assembly, it was headed by the Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, B.R. Ambedkar, and that drafting committee presided by the first president of India. Who was the first president of India? Who was the first president of India? Ishan. Who was the first president of India? Yes, Somil.
So Dr. Rajendra Prasad.
Dr. Rajendra Prasad presided the drafting committee. Its chairman as appointed as a Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar appointed as the chairman of a drafting committee, and with its 389, the other number, sorry, 273, the total number of the members which were constitutes under the drafting committee. All these dignitaries collectively obtain as information from a different constitutions of a world regarding the framing of constitution. Tomorrow we will start from this. Clear?